Mia Carter's heart nearly stopped when the front doors of the Grand Korean mansion burst open. Every conversation round the dining table died instantly. A graceful young woman dressed in an elegant ivory dress stepped inside with effortless confidence. A sparkling diamond engagement ring caught the light as she gently removed her gloves. Her eyes settled on the man sitting beside Mia before a soft smile crossed her face. "I'm sorry I'm late," she said calmly. "Traffic from Seoul was terrible." She looked directly at Daniel Kang. "My fiancé." The words struck the room like thunder. Mia slowly turned toward the man she loved. Daniel's face had lost every trace of color. No one spoke. Not his parents. Not his younger sister. Not even the elderly grandmother whose smile had welcomed Mia only moments earlier. The silence told Mia one terrifying truth. Everyone in this room already knew, except her. Before the story unfolds into one of the most emotional family dramas you'll ever hear, take a second to subscribe, like this video, and tell us in the comments what you would do if you discovered your fiancé had another woman wearing an engagement ring before meeting his family. Now let's continue. Only 6 months earlier, Mia's life had looked completely different. At 26 years old, she had become one of Chicago's most respected young urban planners. She believed cities were more than buildings. Every street, every bridge, every park carried the memories of the people who built them. Most clients only wanted beautiful designs. Daniel Kang wasn't like most clients. The Korean billionaire arrived at her firm carrying rolled architectural drawings instead of financial reports. Instead of asking how much a project would cost, he asked a question no client had ever asked. "What kind of people do you think this city wants to become 50 years from now?" Mia stared at him in surprise. For the next 4 hours, they completely forgot about contracts. They debated architecture, history, communities, culture, dreams. Daniel spoke with quiet confidence rather than arrogance. Although he headed one of Korea's largest development companies, he listened more than he spoke. When Mia challenged one of his ideas, he smiled instead of becoming defensive. "I've been hoping someone would disagree with me," he admitted. She laughed. "Most billionaires don't enjoy being corrected. Most billionaires never meet someone willing to correct them." That conversation became another, then another. Business meetings slowly turned into dinners. Dinners became long evening walks along Lake Michigan. Neither of them realized when professional respect quietly transformed into love. Daniel admired Mia because she never treated his wealth as something extraordinary. Mia admired Daniel because behind the expensive suits and successful business empire was a man who carried enormous responsibilities without allowing them to harden his heart. 3 months later, Daniel proposed beside the Chicago River. There were no reporters, no cameras, no expensive orchestra, just one ring, one nervous smile, and one question. "Mia Carter, would you build the rest of your life with me?" She said yes before he even finished asking. Everything afterward happened quickly. Wedding discussions, visa applications, family introductions. Daniel explained that his parents valued tradition but possessed kind hearts. "They may seem reserved at first," he told her during the flight to Korea. "They believe actions reveal character better than words. I can respect that. You don't have to impress them. I'm not trying to impress anyone." "What are you trying to do?" She smiled. "I'm trying to respect them." Daniel squeezed her hand. "That's exactly why I love you." Long before the trip, Mia began studying Korean customs. She practiced greetings every evening. She learned when to bow, how to receive gifts respectfully, how to address elders, how to hold chopsticks correctly. She even memorized dozens of Korean phrases despite struggling with pronunciation. Not because Daniel demanded it, because she believed genuine love respected another person's culture instead of expecting them to abandon it. When their car finally climbed the winding road toward the Kang family estate overlooking the sea, Mia quietly stared through the window. The home was breathtaking. Traditional Korean architecture blended perfectly with modern glass walls overlooking the coastline. Nothing looked excessive. Every detail seemed carefully chosen. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "My great-grandfather designed the original house," Daniel replied softly. "My grandfather expanded it. My father modernized it. And now," Daniel smiled, "my mother refuses to let anyone change another brick." Mia laughed. "I think she's right." The front gate opened. Several staff members welcomed them warmly before leading them through a peaceful courtyard filled with pine trees and flowering gardens. Daniel suddenly became quieter. Mia noticed. "You're nervous." "A little." "You." "I'm terrified." He stopped walking. "You still have time to run." She gently bumped his shoulder. "Too late." He laughed for the first time since arriving. The front door opened before they could knock. A cheerful young woman rushed outside. "So you're finally here." She hugged Daniel tightly before turning toward Mia with open curiosity. "You must be Mia." "I'm Heroine." Without waiting for permission, she gently held Mia's hands. "Oh my goodness. You're even prettier than my brother described," Daniel groaned. "Heroine." "What?" "You embarrassed me." "You deserve it." She looked back at Mia. "I've been waiting months to meet the mysterious American woman who somehow convinced my impossible brother to smile again." Mia laughed nervously. "I hope I don't disappoint." "You already didn't." The relaxed conversation eased much of Mia's anxiety. Then another figure appeared. Everything immediately became formal. Daniel's mother stepped onto the wooden entrance platform, wearing an elegant modern hanbok. Her posture reflected years of discipline. Her expression remained calm, neither warm nor cold, simply observant. Daniel bowed respectfully. "Mother." She nodded before facing Mia. For one brief second, neither woman spoke. Mia remembered every hour she had spent practicing. She bowed carefully. "It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Kang. Thank you for welcoming me into your home." She spoke in careful Korean, not perfectly, but sincerely. A faint look of surprise crossed Mrs. Kang's face. "You studied." "I wanted to show respect." Mrs. Kang looked at her for another moment before giving the smallest smile. "Respect is always noticed." She stepped aside. "Please come inside." Mia quietly released the breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She had no idea the greatest test of her life was still waiting just beyond the dining room doors. Mia followed Daniel into the dining room, unaware that the hardest part of her journey had not yet begun. The room reflected generations of discipline rather than luxury. A polished wooden table stretched across the center, surrounded by elegant chairs. Every place setting was perfectly arranged, yet nothing felt excessive. At the far end of the table stood a broad-shouldered man in his early 60s. Daniel bowed immediately. "Father?" Chairman Kang nodded once before extending his hand toward Mia. "So you're the architect who keeps proving my son wrong," Daniel chuckled. "I never said she proves me wrong." "You didn't have to. I know my son." Mia accepted the handshake with confidence. "I only challenge ideas when I believe they can become better." The chairman studied her face for several seconds before a faint smile appeared. "Good answer." "I hope so." "No. Honest answer." He gestured toward the table. "Sit. We can discover the rest during dinner." Before anyone could take their seats, an elderly woman entered the room without announcing herself. She moved slowly, supported by an elegant wooden cane, but her eyes were sharper than anyone else's. Daniel immediately walked toward her. "Grandmother." She ignored him. Instead, she walked straight to Mia. The entire room watched silently. The elderly woman circled Mia once. She looked at her eyes, her hands, her posture. Then she gently lifted Mia's chin. "You've worked with your hands." Mia blinked. "I still sketch every project by hand before using a computer." The old woman smiled. "I knew it." Everyone looked surprised. "Soft hands tell me nothing," she continued, "but hands with tiny pencil marks belong to someone who creates." She turned toward the family. "I like her." Daniel released a breath of relief. Mrs. Kang hid a smile. Even Chairman Kang looked amused. The atmosphere immediately became lighter. Dinner began. Conversation flowed naturally. Mrs. Kang asked about Mia's parents. Chairman Kang wanted to know how urban planning differed between America and Korea. Grandmother occasionally interrupted with unexpected questions. "Can you cook?" "A little." "Can you lose an argument?" Mia laughed. "Only when someone has a better point." Grandmother nodded proudly. "Good answer again." Across the table, Daniel smiled quietly. His younger sister, Heroine, leaned closer. "So?" Mia looked at her. "How expensive are your shoes?" Daniel nearly dropped his chopsticks. "Heroine!" "What?" "I was curious." Mia burst into laughter. "They're actually on sale." "No way." They really were. Heroine immediately liked her even more. "I knew you'd be fun." The room relaxed. For nearly an hour, everything felt almost perfect. Then, the sound of tires echoed outside. Chairman Kang looked toward the window. "I wasn't expecting anyone." A servant entered and bowed respectfully. "Chairman, the Yun family has arrived." Every smile disappeared. Daniel froze. His mother's chopstick stopped halfway to her bowl. Grandmother slowly lowered her tea. Nobody moved. Mia noticed the sudden silence. "Is everything all right?" No one answered. The front door opened. Footsteps approached. A beautiful young woman entered the dining room wearing an elegant ivory dress. She carried herself with quiet confidence, but there was sadness hidden behind her eyes. Beside her walked an older gentleman whose presence commanded immediate respect. Chairman Kang stood. "Chairman Yun." The two men exchanged formal greetings. Then the young woman's eyes found Daniel. She smiled gently. "I'm sorry I'm late." Her gaze shifted toward Mia, then back to Daniel. "My fiancé." The room became so quiet that Mia could hear her own heartbeat. Her eyes slowly dropped. On the woman's left hand, a diamond engagement ring. Mia felt the blood drain from her face. She looked at Daniel. He couldn't meet her eyes. Chairman Yun finally noticed Mia. "And this young lady is—" Nobody answered. Mrs. Kang closed her eyes briefly. Grandmother sighed softly. Daniel finally stood. "Father," Chairman Kang raised one hand. "Not here." Dinner continued. At least it pretended to. No one tasted the food. Every sentence felt rehearsed. Chairman Yun discussed business. Chairman Kang responded politely. The young woman, Seo Jin Yun, never once behaved rudely toward Mia. She simply remained graceful, composed, respectful. That somehow made everything hurt even more. Mia forced herself to remain calm. She wasn't going to cry. Not here. Not in front of strangers. After dinner ended, Daniel quietly approached her. "Mia," she raised one hand. "Not yet." He stopped speaking. She needed answers, but she needed privacy first. An hour later, they stood alone in the garden overlooking the sea. Cold wind carried the sound of crashing waves. Daniel finally spoke. "I should have told you." "You think?" His voice cracked. "I believed it was over." She stared at him. "What exactly was over?" "My engagement." Mia felt her chest tighten. "You were engaged." He nodded slowly. "When I was 23. She waited. Our families formed a business alliance 15 years ago. The agreement included a future marriage. You and her. Yes. And the ring? I gave it to her years ago." Mia closed her eyes. "So she wasn't lying?" "No." "Were you ever going to tell me?" "I planned to." "When?" "Before the wedding." She looked away. The disappointment hurt more than the truth itself. "I thought when I moved to America." The agreement had quietly ended. "My father stopped discussing it. I believed he had changed his mind. But he never officially ended it. So Chairman Yun still believes the promise exists." Mia stood silently for several moments. Daniel's voice became desperate. "I never loved her. I love you. I always will." She looked back at him. "I believe you." He seemed surprised. "But believing you doesn't erase what happened." "No, it doesn't." She took a slow breath. "You should have trusted me with the truth." "I know. You decided for both of us." "I know. You asked me to leave my country." "I know. You asked me to become your wife, while another woman still believed she was your fiancé." Daniel lowered his head. "I know." Silence settled between them again. Finally he whispered, "If you want to leave tomorrow—" "I won't stop you." Mia looked toward the dark ocean. Then she turned back with calm determination. "No." Daniel blinked. "I'm not leaving." His eyes widened. "But listen carefully. I will never compete with another woman. I will never beg your family to accept me. I will never perform just to earn a place in this house. If your family accepts me, they must accept the real Mia. And if they don't—" She paused, her voice steady despite the pain. "Then I will walk away with my dignity intact." Daniel felt tears gather in his eyes. For the first time in years, he realized that the strongest person in the entire estate wasn't the billionaire who could command companies. It was the woman who refused to sacrifice her self-respect, even for the man she loved. Little did they know that by sunrise, the battle would no longer be about love alone. It would become a fight over a business empire worth billions of dollars. Mia barely slept that night. She wasn't planning an escape. She wasn't rehearsing arguments. She simply lay awake, replaying every conversation she had ever shared with Daniel, wondering how a man so honest in every other part of his life could have hidden something so enormous. Before sunrise, she quietly left her room. The house was silent. Remembering what Daniel had told her about his family's routines, she found the kitchen and politely asked the staff if she could help prepare breakfast. The elderly housekeeper smiled. "You are our guest." "I know," Mia replied gently, "but helping is how I calm my mind." An hour later, the smell of fresh soup filled the house. As she carefully arranged side dishes, someone entered behind her. Grandmother. The old woman watched without speaking. Finally, she nodded. "A troubled heart doesn't stay in bed," Mia smiled faintly. "I suppose mine doesn't." Grandmother stepped closer. "You are hurting." "I am. But you are still..." No one expected what happened next. Chairman Yun stood first. "My daughter has something to say." Seo-jin took a deep breath. She removed the engagement ring from her finger. Then she carefully placed it on the table. The soft sound echoed through the silent room. "I released Daniel from every promise made between our families." Her father closed his eyes. She continued, "I refuse to spend the rest of my life wondering whether I was loved or simply chosen because of a contract." No one spoke. Finally, Chairman Kang slowly stood. For years, his word had been considered unbreakable. Breaking an agreement went against everything he believed. Yet he looked first at his son, then at Seo-jin, finally at Mia. "I made a promise many years ago. I believed keeping that promise defined honor." He paused. "I was wrong. Honor also means correcting mistakes." He turned toward Chairman Yun. "I accept full responsibility for breaking our agreement. Our companies will remain partners. Our friendship will remain. But our children, they deserve the freedom we once had." Chairman Yun remained silent for several long seconds. Then he slowly nodded. "I was hoping someone would finally have the courage to say those words." Relief swept across the room. Chairman Kang faced Mia. "When you arrived here, I intended to judge whether you were worthy of my family." A gentle smile appeared on his face. "I've realized I asked the wrong question. The real question was whether our family was worthy of someone with your integrity." He walked toward her. For the first time since her arrival, he bowed respectfully. "Welcome to the Kang family." Mrs. Kang embraced Mia warmly. Grandmother laughed through happy tears. Hai-rin practically tackled Mia with an excited hug. Even Seo-jin smiled, not with regret, but with peace. That evening, Mia and Daniel stood together, overlooking the ocean, where this unforgettable week had begun. Daniel slipped the engagement ring back onto her finger. "I'm sorry. You already proved your apology. I'll spend the rest of my life proving it." She smiled. "The strongest buildings aren't built on perfect ground. They're built on foundations strong enough to survive every storm." Daniel squeezed her hand. "And that's exactly what we'll build." If this story touched your heart, remember this. Never shrink yourself just to fit into someone else's expectations. The right people will value your character without asking you to become someone else. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Until the next story, remember that integrity, patience, and genuine love will always build the strongest foundation.